Hello, this is Eric with Chris of potstocks.com. Today is April 29th. This is your midweek update on stock news, articles, and charts. As a disclaimer, nothing in this broadcast should be considered an endorsement to buy or sell any security. You should always consult with a licensed financial advisor before investing. First up, Terra Tech's brand 420, ticker symbol TRTC, is now available in 2 new dispensaries. With bigger news, their Edible Garden brand is now available in Wal-Mart, which is really good news. For anybody unaware, Edible Garden is Terra Tech's brand of hydroponically produced foods that are growing basically in place of cannabis until it becomes legal. Chris, what are your thoughts? What does this mean for the market?
Yeah, I mean that's good news for Terra Tech. So they've been promoting Edible Garden for a while now, and for their operation, it's basically something that they're growing in lieu of cannabis until that's legal across the board. And they've been in like places like Whole Foods and some regional grocers for a while, but getting into Walmart, I'd imagine will translate to revenues. But I think it's still a little bit too early to tell, but it's good news.
I have to imagine that it's going to help as well. I mean, one way or another, it's across the country, so it can't hurt. And just having the name and the brand out there, even if it's not legal cannabis, when legal cannabis does become legal, they can transition and pivot, and it should be good. So I agree with you there. Okay, up next, Junkie Dog, ticker symbol JKDG, entered the cannabis sector with a press release this week. Junkie Dog primarily sells shoes through its website, junkiedog.com. That is JUNKIE dog.com. They recently reported over $300,000 in earnings from the last quarter. No word on if it's revenues or profits. We're assuming it's revenues. But in PR, they are outlining they're importing grow equipment from overseas to sell online in the American marketplace. I'm sorry. So, Chris, what are we looking at here? And give me a little bit of information on the stock price and what do you think it's going to do?
Yeah, so it's currently trading at about like 11 cents right now. There's a lot of companies that basically put out a press release and say, "Hey, we're getting into the marijuana sector," and sometimes it's legit, and sometimes that's not. So I don't know that this is anything to trade on immediately. Their model is basically importing, grow equipment from China or India or wherever, and bring it in and selling it in the American market, and that's good. It's a good revenue model, but there's a lot of people doing it right now, and also, I mean, they're making a lot of money on shoes, so I just don't know that it's a tradable event, you know?
Yeah, with an existing market, they can take a gamble, so they don't really care one way or the other if it's going to pan out for them. So I would actually agree with you entirely. I think it's way too early to tell, especially with so many other companies up and coming that are purely focused on this, and there's something to say about livelihood and desperation playing a role in your financial stability. So, moving forward, FWDG has announced its partnership with Second Sun LLC to form a subsidiary, Futureland, which will fund and lease grow facilities in Colorado, Oregon, Washington, California, and Nevada. Revenues expected on a year-over-year basis. Chris, give me a little bit of information on their stocks, and we can expound a little bit on what this business merger means.
So FWDG, Futureworld, they're currently trading in the double zeros. I think they're 0032 right now. So it's just wildly speculative. It's definitely nothing to invest in. It may be a tradable event, but at the same time, if they're doing these deals, that says nothing of if they're going to dilute in the future or anything like that. So if you are going to trade it, it's probably a 2 to 3 day swing trade, and I think it's just super early stage.
Fair enough. I agree entirely. Again, something that's a little bit too early to tell, but something to keep your eye on. So moving forward, MJMJ has announced over $300,000 in bookings so far in 2015, currently trading at just under 3 cents. This is the type of news you want to see for long-term investments in the industry. It doesn't say anything what they're going to do with their shares. There isn't any information out just yet, but the company is actively making money, and it's a pretty good step forward. So give us some information on that. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, so this is absolutely like the kind of news that you want to start seeing from cannabis companies. Like they should be, putting out press releases that's like, "Hey, we're making money doing this." And so MJMJ it's a bud and breakfast company. I think they just recently bought like 2 bud and breakfasts in Denver, Colorado. And the fact that they've got $300,000 in bookings into the year is a really positive sign. And again, I'm not necessarily advocating any long-term investments, but if I were looking at long-term investments in the sector, I would definitely look at companies that are putting out putting out numbers like this.
It's important to note, particularly at this juncture, that there is a distinctive lack of companies that have, any type of revenue analysis or any sort of financial information out there. So to see a company, particularly in the cannabis sector, even though it's sort of a hybrid in a way with a bud and breakfast, but it does appear to be a sustainable model. It doesn't look like there's going to be any trouble, particularly with the number that they just released. So as you aptly pointed out, it's really good to see that they have information out publicly available with $300,000 in bookings with 2015, which bodes extraordinarily well in my opinion. So it's just nice. So moving forward, Massroots, an equity position in a seed to new sale tracking system. It looks like this could go a couple different ways. It's good that they're expanding their reach in the cannabis sector, but Chris, you've noted it may make you think 100% that it's not the most confident revenue model. So
yeah. So Massroots, I mean, they're a social network, and even like Twitter, like right now, is having problems with their revenue model, and they have just a huge base. So I think this sort of implies that Massroots understands that its revenue model may not work out strictly in the social media space. So I think it's a positive sign that they're expanding. But I also think that it should make long-term investors think twice, because again, it's a social network.
Do you think the company is set to pivot? Do you think they're capable of that? Obviously, they seem like they have their hands on it. They're preparing for something that could potentially go wrong, but do you think they're in a position to do that?
I think they're in a position for good partnerships. I think they have enough money and probably just resources to do that. But a seed to sale tracking system, there are already a few of them out there. Basically, for those who don't know, so seed to sale tracking system, basically in different states, people who grow and sell they need to track everything by tag it from every point in the process, from where it's grown, what the strain is, all the way to retail to who it's sold to. And so there's software that's been developed for that. And from what I've heard, there's a few different solutions that are kind of clunky. And in their press release, Massroots basically said, this one's not clunky. It's going to be awesome. So that's great. And they're in the software business, so I believe they can do it. But we'll see.
We will see. All right, rounding out our news today, INSY is displaying a lot of volatility. It has a strong-looking chart. The trend is still positive, and a several dollar drop on Monday. Looks like it's recovering from. So give us a little bit more stock information on that and what you think.
Yeah, so this isn't for penny stock traders. This one trades at $56 and 37 cents a share. So that one's tough for compared to a lot of other marijuana stocks. But in terms of just technicals, the chart looks really good, and it's still on an uptrend. And I think that will be absolutely a great trade over the next week to 2 weeks.
Excellent. Okay, well, that's going to round out our Wednesday update. I'm Eric. This is Chris with potstocks.com. Check out our website, www.potstocks.com. Check out the web forums, generate some discussions on the news. I would love to hear your feedback. Again, if you want to look at some investments, you should consult with a licensed financial advisor before doing anything. And we are potstocks.com. Stay in the green.